shelters.
I'm simulcasting if that's okay.
That's cool.
Uh, I missed last night's show after I did my 3 hour banger. I was tired. Like you can ask Lewis, I was zonked.
I figured
But
you probably heard me go the fuck off with this shit.
I did about. I woke up about 5, 6 o'clock in the morning, and I watched it because Lewis had sent me a text. I was like, "Damn, like Charles went off."
Like it sickens me because everybody else knows what peace. Everybody else knows what peace is, and a lot of people and a lot of my subscribers, majority were never in the military, and I'm not knocking them for that. When you have to go and send your child off to somewhere where you fucked up, because when you go to war, somewhere the negotiations you fucked up, you'll start aging very quickly because you're so scared. Is my child going to come back in a box? Is he going to come back missing a limb? Is he going to come back mentally the same?
No one comes out of war the same.
But Charles, he said he lied. He said he would end the war on day one, and he lied. It didn't happen because he's supposed to have mind control powers to make other world leaders do what he say the second he say it.
Mm-hmm. But these people who wanted Kamala in, you knew Kamala was not even a good candidate. Well, she was a prosecutor. Who did she prosecute?
Black men. Black men. She was a big beneficiary from the 94 crime bill.
She wasn't a prosecutor. She was a railroader and an extortionist.
That too.
On top of being a whore. That's how she got the job.
She did. Well, she did slip her way to the top.
Yeah, ain't that right, Willie?
Go down, Willie Brown.
Give me what you got. Give me what you got. Keep rising to the top.
Ain't that right, Montel?
Anyway,
I mean,
I have to say this. I have to say this. There's a certain quote by Julius Caesar. If you want peace, prepare for war. Which means no father wants his son to go to war, but unfortunately you have to understand the realities of the world. So you have to prepare him for what he will have to face. That means you have to teach him how to defend himself. How many boys have been hamstrung from the get-go? Like, how many mothers are like saying, I don't want to put him in martial arts because he's going to become violent. No, it's going to teach him discipline. I don't want him to go boxing. He's going to be a bully. No, it's going to teach him to be disciplined.
You know why? Because mothers in the black community are the greatest bullies a child will ever see. Okay.
Ooh, emotional bullies at that.
They're every type of bully there is. They don't like to admit it, but they're bullies. They're bullies. How do they get their children under control? They bully them. They call them names. They tease them about embarrassing stuff that happened in the house. You don't need this. You still pissing in the bed. You don't need to look at no girl. You still pissing in the bed. Over the head. They do all kinds of stuff. That boy learns how to wrestle, box, or do some type of martial art. She'll be afraid he use it on her.
There was a time I remember my mother would tell me, be a man, will you? I'm like, and at one point I just looked at her and said, I just asked her, what do you mean? What are you talking about? I've heard women say, just be a man. What do you mean being a man? Unless I mean, first of all, are you a cisgender female? Wait a minute, sorry. Are you an actual woman? Are you a female? What would you know
Look,
about being a man?
Yeah,
if
shout
you
out,
could go back, you would ask her, define one.
exactly.
Because I don't
Oh
see
yeah.
one in this house. There's no man in this house. So who's my role model?
Well, in
Shout
my
out to
case, it was my father or my
shout out
uncles.
to Dave. You got to give him the old salute. Hit it, Slick Rick. Thank you again, Bay.
Wait. Read the tag.
Oh my God, this is so funny.
What is it?
For ethics violations against hamsters. What the fuck? What the fuck? Oh my God. Oh, that made my day right there. Oh,
I was
shit.
having a bad morning. I was actually having a bad morning when, I've had a bad few days, with my shit. But thankfully having Louis there and everything just helped me just kind of like, start to come into clear out the cobwebs, so to speak.
Sometimes we need
As
that.
well as having something to eat and a good nap. But when I woke up and saw this, I was like, okay, I gotta come in and check this shit out.
I'm gonna
And
tell you,
mhm.
I'll tell you this, right?
Huh?
When a lot of guys talk about dating and mating,
Yeah.
I'm going to tell you, it's okay to be rejected. It's okay not to always have pussy around. You know why? Because the more you have females around, notice a man starts getting stagnant.
His testosterone drops. She starts. What are you doing?
And this is the part where I tell them, look, to be a man, you got to be on your own journey and purpose, okay?
Mm-hmm.
And most of the time, 90% of your journey is going to be alone.
Could somebody please explain that to Travis Hunter?
Well,
He got to learn.
he
He
got
got
to
to learn the hard way.
His
biggest
Well, he's
issue will
hard
be
headed.
Go ahead,
his
Bay.
biggest issue will be how he handles the fleecing, because he's not going to be worried about the money. He's going to be worried about her and the kids. Watch, it might destroy him psychologically.
Well, it could be even worse. I'll give you a worse scenario right now, Bay. Let's say at some point in his okay. First of all, his father, Travis Sr., is unfortunately incarcerated. We know that. So he couldn't be there for his son's graduation. He couldn't be there for Travis's graduation.
Well, what type of
And
father
getting
is
drafted. Absentee
is he?
father,
Like a
most likely. We don't.
father or Will Smith father, when mama was just a tight hole that he couldn't.
We don't know.
Pull out game. We don't know.
We don't know. But anyway.
I'm pretty sure he's not in there for trying to save up money to solve his son's cancer. I'm pretty sure that's not why he's in jail. You know what I'm saying?
I know. Listen, I get it. But don't people come for once? Can you not be an asshole and try to derail me here for a minute? I know how much you like to mess with me, dude. This ain't the time. I'm
not messing with you.
Okay. All right, just back up. My point is this. The worst scenario is this. Let's say at some point in his career, he catches an injury. Right?
Mm-hmm.
They say it's career threatening.
Mm-hmm.
Don't be surprised when the bitch decides to bail because he's no longer useful.
I'll tell you what'll be her the deciding factor on whether she go or stay. When his second contract come around. Because if it looks like he's going to hit a huge payday, I mean, because this little $40 million, the 2020, because rookie contracts are set in stone. You ain't getting no more than 40, my brother, as a top 5 pick. So you're going to get the 2020, 20 million salary $20 million signing bonus with a 4 years with an option for a fifth. If he balls out and it looked like he's not a quarterback, so he ain't getting no $100 million. And I guarantee you, by the time this class right here, by the time their 5th year pops up, there's going to be a wage scale just like they have in the NBA. They're going to have max contracts because it's ridiculous that Joe Burrow, and I'm not saying he don't deserve it because Joe Burrow was damn fucking good, but $300 million, that's ridiculous for a quarterback. That's I mean, damn, but isn't that like an NBA team?
Yeah. No, that's
do you remember Alex Rodriguez? Do you remember in the early 2000s? Alex,
$250 million
from the Texas Rangers, 255.
255. That's ridiculous for baseball.
Or even worse. Here's another fucked up story.
Hold on. I don't lose my point.
Okay, go ahead.
They're going to cap. They're going to do a max position cap because the collective bargaining agreement comes around every 3 years. We just already went through one about a year or two ago. They're going to have another one where they're going to cap these positions, and what's going to happen is if the salary cap goes up, that is if football is still relevant because it's losing its audience. People are sick of the NFL giving the Chiefs favor. They did it with Brady. Now they're doing it with Mahomes. People get sick of that shit. That's why people hate to see them winning. But if they don't fix that, then the NFL is going to lose viewership. But let's say all that's irrelevant, and it stays the course.
Charles Snowman's in the back,
and
continue.
Yeah, and it stays the course. They're going to cap those positions, so he's not going to be getting $100 million contract. He'll be lucky as a corner to be getting about 80, and I mean just total. You know what I'm saying? They don't pay cornerbacks like that. Do they?
They don't. More to the point, since the days of Ronnie Lott and Lester Hayes, they don't want to pay cornerbacks like that.
Yeah. So
but isn't he going to be like a 2-position player? He's playing on both sides, right?
Are we talking
that
about?
Won't last. This the NFL. That won't last. You might come in on like a third down or something like that. Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to say I'm going to say 2 statements. Travis Hunter screwed himself, and he's going to have to pick a position. They will not let him play both sides. I believe that, and I will continue to believe that. Because, and I'm going to say a third statement that's going to piss a lot of people off, but I don't care. I said it during my show, and I'm going to say it here. He's not good at either one of those positions.
In all honesty, I think he's better suited for the nickel. And in the and if he plays wide receiver, if they go 5 wide, he's better and he might be good in the slot. But outside as a wide receiver, you can forget it. Outside as a corner, he's going to have to develop. He's going to have to catch up to NFL speed.
As a receiver, Deion always had him on the outside just because of his speed alone. He doesn't have that great of a catch radius, number one. Number two, he's not that good of a route runner. DK Metcalf here. And as far as what you said about the NFL losing their audience, boy, is that ever the truth. Because they're going to get tired of seeing Patrick Mahomes get favored. They got tired of seeing Tom Brady get favored. And the next victim on the list is going to be Jalen Hurts.
Well, they're going to milk that cash cow, aren't they?
Yeah,
they're going to milk the fuck out of it. They're making
the beauty of the Eagles though is at least the Eagles they built a team. That team has talent
all over the place.
That team has talent, and the Jets with Aaron Rodgers. Not to get off track of the subject, but with him there, they were supposed to have been dominant. The problem was the offensive coordinator and Aaron Rodgers' arrogance, and you could see that once they fired what's the guy's name?
Once they
fired Saleh, thinking that things were going to be different, it deflated and killed the whole team. That's why when
it brutalized
who's the wide receiver? Who's the wide receiver that came there?
That came to
The
the
wide
Jets.
receiver, 17, that played with him.
Devontae Adams.
Devontae Adams. When he came there like a week after they had fired Robert Saleh, and then he got the nerve to be running his mouth talking about these guys ain't putting in no effort. Motherfucker, your
bitch ass. You were gonna say
bitch ass quarterback destroyed the chemistry of this team.
Mm-hmm.
We don't want to play for this scrub defensive coordinator.
We don't want to play for this. We don't want to play for this bitch.
Right. We don't want to play for him or Aaron Rodgers. And you coming in here running your mouth? You quit on the Raiders for the same reason, because your coach and your quarterback was garbage. We're in the same boat.
Mm-hmm.
Why do you think they got rid of you? Why do you think they got rid of Aaron Rodgers?
They don't think. They don't think. They do not think. And by the way, Bay, I'm cutting that piece when we covered the draft where you muted yourself and you went off after the Browns.
You know what? I was wrong.
You were wrong?
I was wrong about the Browns draft. I was wrong. Now that once I saw the draft was over, and I looked, I bit my tongue. Once I looked at the whole draft when it was over, I realized exactly what they were trying to do.
Okay.
But right now they're trying to push Shedeur to be number one. They're trying to have him and Taylor Gabriel fight it out. Man. But it's a neck and neck battle. But they're blowjobbing the hell out of Shedeur. But Taylor Gabriel is actually picking up the offense and having the better. He's the better athlete and the better thrower.
He's the better. He is going to be QB1 day one. He should be QB1 day one.
We'll see.
Dylan Gabriel should be QB1 day one.
We'll see. He's good, but we'll see. I think the only thing working against him is his height.
It worked against Steve Young once upon a time.
Well, you know. Oh, you mean how tall? No, Steve Young is at least over 6 feet.
Steve Young 6'2".
Yeah, 6'2". Yeah, that's quarterback height. But Gabriel is 5'11".
It worked against Drew Brees once upon a time.
Well, yeah.
And Drew Brees is only 6 feet tall.
Yeah.
Russell Wilson's like only 5'11".
Drew Brees is only 6 feet tall, and he had a stellar Hall of Fame 20-year career.
Yeah, but he also had Sean Payton.
Yeah, he spent 16 of those 20 years in he spent 16 of those 20 years in New Orleans. What is going to be
the Mannings?
The Mannings are at least over
Peyton.
60.
Peyton is 6'6". Eli is 6'4".
Yeah, them some tall dudes. I'll put like this: with what the Browns are doing, they're going back to the Chubb and Hunt days, where it's power running, power zone running, play action pass.
Yeah,
you need to stay that way.
That's why they didn't break their neck to get a second wide receiver.
Mm-hmm.
All right, because if anything, they got that other tight end. They got 2 tight ends. One is a free agent. They drafted Fannin Jr. They got those 2 running backs, Judkins from Ohio State and Sampson out of Tennessee. They got to get
they need to use them
defensive
both.
Tackle. What is it, Graham?
They need to use them both. I'm talking about the running backs.
Oh yeah, they will. They will.
Need to use them both.
Times that the Browns went to the playoffs, it was because of Chubb and Hunt.
Yep, they need to use their thunder and lightning.
Yeah. So you get Graham in the weight room, so he's not throwing up in practice. You get him in the weight room, put some muscle, some size, some more size, and some muscle on him. You'll be all right. You're gonna be all right. You just need to.
Let me ask the entire panel a question here. Which is a team do you think is going to take a step back this year from taking a step forward last year?
Chiefs.
Yep.
That's my guess. The Chiefs. Chiefs are going to fall flat.
The Chiefs got exposed.
They did. And Philadelphia knocked the hell out of them.
I think it's
if you want to think about it, even though the Chiefs went 15-2, Denver exposed their asses.
It's gonna be here's the shits, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's look at Baltimore. They got Hopkins, right? We don't need
Yeah.
Hopkins to be old. We don't need Hopkins to be the old Hopkins. We just need him to be productive.
You just need you
Just make the
just
catch.
need Hopkins to extend possessions.
He's their third down receiver. Let's just be honest.
Yep.
He's
If
the third down slot guy.
if you got Zay going deep and fast and making cuts, nobody catching him.
Nope.
You got one of the greatest running backs of all time looking like he's having a resurgence.
And Derrick Henry.
You probably have the best athlete / quarterback currently in the league right now. And your line looks like if you put one key piece to the line, your defense is stellar.
What's the key piece they need on the offensive line?
Guards.
Wrong. The key piece they need on the line is a left tackle.
Well, that's
I'll
it.
tell you, and I will tell you why.
Well, they already got
Last
a center.
2 years, the last 2 years, that left side has been exposed.
Mm-hmm.
They need a left tackle. They need a Jonathan Ogden type left tackle.
If he would have had a Jonathan Ogden, Jesus,
He wouldn't get touched.
Mm-mm.
If he had a Trent Williams / Jonathan Ogden type left tackle, he won't get touched. That's the piece they need on the offensive line. They got to get a left tackle.
And then on top of that, you look at Miami's gonna take a step back.
Miami about to crater. Miami is going to crater.
Miami's gonna take a step back because they can't decide on what the fuck they want or need. What's another team? Philly's gonna be very interesting because they're gonna have a lot of hype to live up to.
Yeah. They have to defend their title. And they get a boost to start because they play Dallas in week 1.
So now you basically got like damn near rivalry game starting off, so you're gonna have a real big boost.
Mm-hmm. You know who I think is going to wind up taking the AFC West division?
Who's that?
Broncos.
San Diego.
You think it's gonna be San Diego?
San Diego.
You know what? I think
It'll come down.
Denver.
It'll come down to Denver and San Diego the final time they play to decide the West.
You talk about the Baltimore Chargers? San Diego Ravens?
Yes.
You know why I picked Denver?
It'll come down. It'll come down to those two to decide the West.
They strengthened their defense and their offense got a lot better. Their defense was already a killer. Then they got that corner to play in the slot, and that dude he's instinctual as hell. That dude is a baller.
Mm-hmm.
But now it's just a matter of because now it took about 6 games for Bo Nix to catch up to the NFL as far as the speed of the game and everything. Because if you saw,
and then he started balling after that.
Right. His biggest problem was that Franklin, his teammate, wide receiver teammate, this dude, you've been catching passes for me for years. What the fuck are you doing? Why are you dropping wide open touchdowns?
Yeah, you just said it. Wide open.
Yeah. Wide open touchdowns.
That's the reason. Wide open.
Jesus. He makes them catches. They got if he made them catches, they'd have had a home playoff game.
And for that reason, they're going to lose the AFC West division.
You think so?
For that,
think it might be Franklin.
For that reason,
hold the presses.
We'll see.
Hold the presses, folks. I was just our favorite sleeper cell.
What's that? What's this?
From
what do you got?
Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome back to the show. Got a lot to catch you up on, including this attack launched by Israel on Iran's nuclear program. Now, I have that and more, including, dude, I believe legitimately we're in the most volatile national security crisis in our country's history. With all the things going on external to our country, as well as the volatility in our country, with the likelihood of there being potentially thousands of embedded insurgents in our nation, we're likely to see some fallout from this attack. Now we'll get into
Pause that right
and
quick,
more,
please.
but I wanted to update you guys on Tyrone Wood's truck.
Here's my issue. And this is what I when, because you guys wanted me to talk about, about this last night. They were grilling Pete Hegseth yesterday while all this other stuff was going on. And it goes back to the first time they grilled him, all right, with the whole Signalgate thing or whatnot. And the lady asked him, would he defy an order from Trump? In other words, would he commit treason or form a mutiny if Trump ordered him to turn the military on American citizens? Keep in mind, Democrats, dumbasses, think that illegals are American citizens. This is why last night there was an injunction against Trump. A judge blocked Trump from being able to use the military and the National Guard. The judge ordered him to turn it over to Newsom today. But less than 3 hours later, another federal judge overturned that decision. Because had that have went through, then California would have pretty much have been starting. They would have been seceding from the union. Do you understand? That would have been a secession, because Newsom would have put them back in the box and let those illegals and anybody else, he would have let them take over California, or at least LA and now San Francisco. So you needed the National Guard. That's why he called up his federal powers, the federal National Guard, to do that, because Newsom wasn't doing his job. He was letting shit go to pot. He wanted them to be attacked. I don't think, tell me if I'm wrong. I'm seeing the big picture. Maybe I'm wrong, but if you ask me, it looks like the Democratic Party, especially in these sanctuary cities or whatnot, and in leadership, it's like they work for the cartels and Hamas and any other foreign power. Because why would you be doing this against your own country? Your Trump derangement syndrome cannot be this goddamn strong. It just can't be. And when you look at the overall picture of what they've been doing for the past 6 years, if not 12 with Obama, weakening the country by destroying manhood, okay, trying to push homosexuality and transgenderism on children to the point where you're letting them get surgery as children, teenagers, with the medical association going along with that, understanding that that is child abuse and medical malpractice. Forcing this stuff into the school system to the point where you have FBI agents investigating and arresting parents, talking about it's child abuse if you call your child by the name you gave them. And now because they've joined this fad, and Sally went to Steve, and if you call her Sally, that's child abuse, and the state has the right to take your child away from you under those grounds, which is what's going on in Colorado and in California. You're putting trans people in the military, knowing goddamn well that they're not going to fight. You totally weaken the standards of the physical fitness test so these people can be in the military. All right? You put bitches in them, and I don't mean by just, I'm not talking females, I mean bitches, dudes that you can slap in the streets and they and fall out like they on Living Color skit. You were pushing money into wars, funding what was going on in Ukraine, trying to trigger Russia into a war, an all-out destruction of Ukraine, in order to try to get the United States involved, while stealing money at the same time. Also backing Hamas, doing absolutely nothing, while Israel destroyed every little strip of Gaza, completing the ultimate takeover with that. while fanning the flames of what was going on right now with Iran and Israel, knowing goddamn well they hate each other. You had no problems letting Iran build their nuclear program while all of this was going on. You weren't paying them any attention. You have FBI agents that are activists. Y'all wondering why all this Epstein stuff and why this person and that person hasn't been arrested yet? Because Kash Patel has to clean those fuckers out. That DOJ and the FBI is overrun with ideologues, activists. He got to clean that out. That's why they're doing the second round of lie detector tests. The sooner he gets that shit together, that's when you're going to start seeing shit really pop off. They were trying to destroy this country. Why do you think they let anybody and everybody in? And Mexico was in on it. Y'all probably don't remember this, but Mexico told Russian people that came on over with the passports, they don't need a visa. They can stay for as long as they like. What Russian do you know wants to stay in Mexico? Where do you think they headed? Once they got there, where do you think they went? I'm asking the question. Where do y'all think they went? Hello? Is this thing on?
We hear you.
But you're not. No, this is called response. Where do you think them Russians went?
They went up north.
Yes.
Where do you think they went?
Just like the Middle Easterners and the South Americans. They came up north.
Let's not forget something. Hold on a second. Let's not forget something. You know, there are certain shady characters coming from Mother Russia who are in cahoots with, you know, some shady characters in Mexico as well as in South America.
And China.
Organized that too. You know? Them, they also do business with the ones in Japan sometimes maybe, or somewhere in Southeast Asia. A lot of criminal organizations, which I'm going to be very hush-hush about.
They're here now. They've been
here. They've been here.
Yeah, now they really here. Their numbers are strengthened. Remember, they caught the one guy in New Jersey trying to destroy a power grid. I was saying, if you wanted to get away with any type of terrorist activity in the United States, because we live in an Orwellian society, you need to destroy the power grid. So that way there's no cameras operable. And you can do anything you want like it's 1990. It'll be pitch black. And you can, wherever that power grid is, and you can do whatever the hell you want to do. And by the time anybody figures out what the hell is going on, you're done. You're already on the road. You've accomplished your mission.
If you haven't seen it, I did a video on this about a month ago where we talk about acquiring Tyrone Woods' old pickup truck. Now, somebody contacted me on social media and said, hey, man, I bought Ty's truck before he deployed to Benghazi, Libya, and that faithful rotation where him, Glenn Doherty, and 2 State Department officials, including the ambassador to Libya, Ambassador Stevens, were killed on September 11th and 12th of 2012. Now, he offered me this because he had it in his family for a decade. He had gifted it to his 16-year-old son who was involved in a T-boned accident. His son's okay. So is the lady who hit him. But the truck was due to go to a scrap yard and to be scrapped for parts. And I said, absolutely, I'll take it. Now, this is where I need your help because we just picked it up. My buddy Danny picked it up and transported it to Horseshoe Bend, Idaho. I want to raise money for warriors' families that are left behind. Now, there are many nonprofits, but I want you to down select the nonprofit for me. So if you know a good nonprofit that's supporting families of the fallen, please let me know. You know, a lot of times, often after the warrior is killed in action, we remember them, we do the memorial, and then it goes silent. I've seen it myself, working with the military and the agency, where these families are often forgotten about. Selfishly, if anybody knows Dennis Collins from the Coffee Walk, I'll link his channel down below. He's one of the guys that was on Fast and Loud, which was a mini series on Gas Monkey Garage with Richard Rawlings back in the day. Dennis Collins was one of the buyers and one of the friends of Richard Rawlings, and he has a great YouTube channel, The Coffee Walk. It's Dennis Collins' YouTube channel, where they go and find old vehicles that are abandoned and they rebuild them, give them new life.
Oh, I remember that show.
It would be very cool to see Dennis Collins' teams fix this up and then put it on one of the big auctions to raise money for this nonprofit. If you guys know any nonprofits or know Dennis Collins, make sure you leave it down in the comments below. All right, let's kick it off with a video of this attack in broad daylight, where the Israelis conducted this very complex covert operation, not in plain sight.
Trump said these strikes killed the generals that he was talking to.
All right, so
as far as the peace deals.
The first one on the left is Salami, old General Salami. In the middle, you got Shamkhani, and on the far right, you got Bagheri. All three of the head shed were killed in this attack, which is a huge blow to the Iranian military, but also the Iranian government. Far left, we got Salami, who's the head of the IRGC. The IRGC, the Islamic Revolutionary Guard Corps, is responsible for many proxy attacks in the region, including providing material support to the Houthis. I dealt with the IRGC when they were supplying material support to the Shia militias that were attacking American forces, even members of my own organization when I was in Iraq. Born in 1960, according to a U.S. sanctions docket, Salami had headed the secretive and IRGC since 2019. In footage released by the Iranian state media in January, Salami was seen inspecting what the media said was an underground facility that had played a role in the attacks of sending drones and missiles to Israel last year in April and October. The equivalent of killing Salami, head of the IRGC, is like the equivalent of Iran attacking us and killing the Joint Chiefs of Staff. The next one, Shamkhani, who's pictured in the middle, was a close aide to Iran's supreme leader, the Ayatollah, and represented Tehran at talks which sealed a landmark agreement to restore diplomatic ties with its foe, Saudi Arabia. Shamkhani served as the country's top national security official since 2013. And last but not least, Major General Mohammad Bagheri. Since 2016, Mohammad Bagheri had served as the chief of staff of Iran's armed forces. Now, this is a massive blow. I want you to hear Israel's perspective from Netanyahu on why they conducted this attack. Let's roll the film.
Months ago, Israel launched Operation Rising Lion, a targeted military operation to roll back the Iranian threat to Israel's very survival. This operation will continue for as many days as it takes to remove this threat. For decades, the tyrants of Tehran have brazenly, openly called for Israel's destruction. They've backed up their genocidal rhetoric with a program to develop nuclear weapons.
Now, after the attacks were launched, Trump posted on Truth Social. What's interesting about this is I couldn't find this on Google. So if you Google it, it won't come up. But I ended up finding it on Truth Social. It says, I gave Iran chance after chance to make a deal. The highlights are certain Iranian hardliners spoke bravely, but they didn't know what was about to happen. They are all dead now, and he capitalized dead, and it will only get worse. Lastly, Iran must make a deal before there's nothing left and save what was once known as the Iranian Empire. Now, they're using this, the American government is using this as leverage because they have ongoing negotiations scheduled for Sunday, which is crazy. Now, Marco Rubio came out and said that we had nothing to do with this. Now, do you believe that? I don't believe it. I'm not going to pretend like we didn't have anything to do with it. Now, the issue here is the attack was conducted. If Iran retaliates, we're going to be pulled into this war, which was once covert action in nature, into overt protection of Israel. Now, does this benefit us national security-wise? I don't think it does. Now, Israel's position, which I agree a lot about, is they have no choice. They're not going to allow them to get nuclear weapons. And we've gone to the negotiation table at the same time saying, we need to work this out. At the same time, we're trying to be diplomatic. Israel is behind us lobbing missiles. I don't think that's advantageous for our national security when we're trying to come up with a diplomatic solution. Now, I talked about this before when I talked about the insurgents that were bound to utilize the open border policies of Biden to infiltrate our country for the long game. The long game is if you're an Iranian citizen who comes into the country illegally, you're using it as an opportunity to collect information, to report back to Iran, and also conduct a terrorist attack. If you look it up, the Obama administration was negotiating the Iran nuclear deal, and it allowed 2,500 Iranians, according to CBS News and Fox News, to come into this country and get citizenship. Now, I'm not saying Iranian people who are coming to our nation are nefarious or malice with their intent. What I am saying is you don't have to be an Iranian citizen. You could be from China, from Iran, from Afghanistan, or from Mexico, for that matter. Come into our country, be radicalized by what's going on in the world, and look at opportunities to attack our country from the inside. Now, we're looking at millions of people who came in under the Biden administration that were trying to round up and gain control of the national security dilemma. But those people could be responsible for future attacks in this country. Now, a lot of this I can't talk about here, but in the underground episode of this on my Patreon, which is absolutely free, I'll link that down below. We talk about the probability of this happening and potentially an attack that's going to take place tomorrow, June 14th. Why? Well, there's a big military parade. Now, what's disgusting is I heard MSNBC talk about this military parade as if it was a bad thing. Let me roll this quick clip from MSDNC.
This Saturday, it's Flag Day. Happy Flag Day. It's also President Trump's birthday. It's also the day of his big North Korean dictator-style military parade in Washington. More tanks and guns unloading this afternoon outside Washington, D.C. Look at that. Saturday is also the day organizers are planning the next very large nationwide day of protest against Trump.
I mean, are these people even American? Are they even American? Is this not the characteristic of a socialist, a communist, a terrorist? Who says things like that? Okay, so we have a June 14th Army parade that's scheduled, and we have the national media on the far extremes of the left spewing propaganda. And they're saying this because they want people. I'm not even going to roll the media on this, advertising the extremist propaganda to get people to show up to protest, but they know they're not going to protest. They're going to have a riot. So what I expect to happen tomorrow, despite all the National Guard that's going to be present, all the security that's going to be present, to be potentially starting a riot at this parade. Now, the travesty here is we're not just dealing with national security threats domestically, where we have people throwing bricks, throwing rocks, throwing Molotov cocktails, and the left-wing media is calling that peaceful protest, or mostly. And then we have a volatile situation overseas that's radicalizing people that are likely insurgents that are going to use this as an opportunity to conduct a terrorist attack. It is the perfect recipe for disaster. And I don't know what is going on in these riots. You have a Mexican flag being waved next to a pride flag that's being waved, next to a sign that says Free Palestine, next to a sign that says trans rights. So I assume it's the outcast and it's the fringes of the left But when you take all that radicalization, despite the federal government coming after these guys hard, I mean, hundreds of arrests that are going to be federally charged, and these guys are going to be spending decades in prison. How did that work out for you? It's not working out very well. So why would they not get more extreme? The LAPD chief came out and said, this is the most extreme attacks he's ever seen. And the national media on the left is reporting it like it's mostly peaceful and it's not a big deal. So we'll talk about that in the underground and look forward to the Mike Force episode with Bill Thompson from Spartan Forge. He's a guy who's leading the way when it comes to maps and imagery and the integration of technology, including AI and hunting. I know what you're thinking. Like, why would we ever do that? But you got to listen to the podcast for the reasons why. I'm off to the underground. Till next time. Peace out, guys.
You know what? Did you hear what that sheriff in Florida said and what Ron DeSantis said the other day concerning tomorrow?
No.
The Ron DeSantis said if you block the roadways and try to attack people, they have the right. You have the right as a Floridian to step on the gas. If you try to mob, he told them, like, if they try to mob you, if you're in your car, they block the road and try to mob you, you have the right to step on the gas because it's considered, he said they will consider it as self-defense. And there's plenty of cameras around, so, you know, it is what it is. The sheriff in Florida, he said he will kill you graveyard dead if, well, not just him, but his officers will kill you graveyard dead if you throw a rock, a bottle, or point a gun at any officer. If you assault any officer, they said if you spit on an officer, we're going to hospitalize you and then throw you in jail. If you destroy any property, we're going to throw you in jail. If you run, we're going to sick one of our big, beautiful dogs on you and then throw you in jail. So you better peacefully protest. You better peacefully protest. You better peacefully protest. They're not playing. And in all honesty, for Trump to be this so-called dictator or whatnot, these people better be very lucky that he is a benevolent dictator, because a malevolent dictator would have already have shot your ass by now. They're handling you with kid gloves out there in California, New York, Chicago, North Carolina. Supposedly they were here out in Atlanta, but it looks like, based on the cars that I saw, they were out in Beechcroft. So it didn't look like they were like downtown. This is insurrectionist behavior.
Tomorrow's like Flag Day, right? So it says that they might have to reschedule the parade because of possible thunderstorms in the DMV, or might cancel it.
Works for me.
Yeah. I don't know. Just a lot of things like self-serving and everything. The way I look at it, just everything's just divisive politics. And what can I say? It's gonna take a huge tragedy just to get people back to, unite everybody like 9/11 did. But hey, I don't want that. What could happen? Like last night, black men keep going. It's motherfucking swivel. There's a lot of motherfuckers out there on fucking bullshit, left, right, and center. At the end of the day, they still look at you thing, right? They don't want to march for you. You should march for them.
Hey, what's up, everybody? What's up?
What up, Jersey? Louis, you muted yourself. Okay.
I know. Yeah, I know.
Oh, cool. Okay. Y'all give him a minute. Y'all give him a minute. What a day. Friday the 13th. All I wanted to do was just watch a Jason. Maybe put on a hockey mask.
Jason Momoa wore a hockey mask?
No, Jason Voorhees.
Who was that?
Do you remember? You ever heard of
like the Cowboys or something?
No. Jason Voorhees was a horror movie character.
What the hell is a horror movie?
Hey, you trying to play dumb with me?
Yes. Did it work?
I should beat your ass with a salami right now. Actual salami, not mine.
Pervert.
Not mine. Oh, you dirty motherfucker. I'll beat you. You know what? Yeah. Hold on a second. Charles, you got your Coco Bolo nice steak on handy?
Oh God. Pervert.
If I was a pervert, you would have been bent over and I would have had like a a cat of nine or something.
A Colo Bolo nightstick? Is that what you said?
I said Coco Bolo nightstick.
Ooh, good Lord. Anyway, I needed that laugh. Because
don't worry, I'll send 2 training chicks your way. Don't worry.
It keeps me from going into one of my usual rants, but I mean tomorrow
you're
is
such
going
an asshole. It is what it is.
Yeah, I mean yeah. I put it to you like this: tomorrow is going to be a very trying day.
It's going to be a long day.
We're going to see what these terrorist organizations, these terrorist cells, have in store for tomorrow. Hopefully they do postpone it for Sunday. I mean, I doubt it because it's going to take a lot to move all of that. I mean, they already spending close to 45 million just to host this parade. So, to move it,
you don't think
another
security's
day
on high alert? They might they might just cancel it altogether because, like they said, possible thunderstorms and whatnot.
Yeah, I would probably move it. Yeah, I would move it.
They no cancel it. I just scrap it. All right, just scrap it. Just
scrap it. All right. You know what? That would
scrap it.
That would probably work. And then what you can do is not only did you wind up wasting a lot of these terror cells, you wound up wasting their money, but it also gives the FBI and Homeland Security time to dig into the money trail, because that's what Kristi Noem was talking about. Her and Senator Luna, who, come to find out, she was a Maxim model.
Back when?
I guess back in her 20s, her early 20s.
Wait, how old is this woman?
She's in her 30s.
Oh.
Yeah, she was, come to find out, Representative Luna. Yeah, Anna Paulina Luna. Yeah, she's a former Maxim model.
Don't be surprised how many senators and congressmen have
No, don't be surprised how many congressmen and senators might have copies of that very edition, and probably just whacking off whenever they can.
Well,
And
it is what it is, but she's a very based, very intelligent, very confident woman. She's the one that's trying to get Tory Lanez out of jail. You know, with that whole Meg Thee Stallion situation where they were talking about, you know, there was somebody in Congress that was working to get him out.
You mean Meg the he-horse?
Yeah, that's her. Yeah, she's the one that's working on his case to get him up out of there because he was framed. But yeah, her and Kristi Noem and Kash Patel, they're following the money trail. Remember they arrested that guy that was passing out all of those gas masks, those plastic face masks and everything that you can get from Walmart. They're like $45 each. Yeah, they seized him. They called up to the truck and they arrested him. So, you know, they're going to interrogate him, find out, you know, because he works for a Democrat. He works for a Democratic party affiliation. He works for an NGO. So they're tracing the money back through the NGOs and all of these other organizations. They're aware of the ads on Craigslist where they ask for some pipe hard brothers, some real badasses who aren't afraid of danger and going to jail and all of this stuff. You know, they were paying them. I think they said out in California, they were paying those guys $6,500 a month just to be on standby. This is why all of this, and what is her name? Karen Bass, she let it slip that they have organizations through text messaging where if they see ICE or any ICE activity, they all report what area they're in, and then that way they squad up and go and do exactly what you saw. This is why that judge overturned, that one judge that wanted to turn the National Guard back over to Gavin Newsom, and they like, oh hell no, like because he's in their pockets. Like you have no idea just how I mean, this is cartel activity. This is true cartel activity. And Karen Bass has been she's been a communist, socialist, Marxist for a long time. All right, it's her background training.
Let me ask you something, okay?
Sure.
All this stuff about Republicans.
You're fading out.
With all this jawjacking I've been hearing for decades about states' rights by Republicans, just to play devil's advocate, isn't this a violation? Isn't the National Guard supposed to be a states' rights issue?
Not if you're at a situation where you have an incompetent governor like Gavin Newsom. The president can have exercise emergency powers and send in the federal National Guard. You understand? Because Gavin Newsom, he's dropping the ball because Gavin Newsom is anti-American. Him and Karen Bass, all of these other governors and mayors especially, they're anti-American. Okay. Nobody that stands for the American people would allow this type of psychopathic behavior to go on in their cities and states. This is crazy.
All right, if that's going on in California, it's predominantly Latino. Not forget that. What would it be like in a red state like Arizona?
Well, remember, we used to think Arizona was racist. Well, I don't think you were hip to what was going on back then. But back in the early
it was the last state to recognize MLK's birthday as a federal holiday.
Well, while all of that was going on, they were supposedly, we were convinced because we were watching CNN back then, because a lot of us grew up Democrat because of our households, aka our mothers. We thought that Arizona, what they were doing were racist towards Hispanics, but come to find out that they was dealing with some serious Breaking Bad situations out there. They had a serious cartel problem out in Arizona. Those that the sheriff of Pyro or whatever, he cleaned all that up.
Joe Arpaio.
Yeah,
Pyro.
Pyro. Yeah,
Pyro.
he had
But
to
the
clean
thing
that
was, is
stuff
like,
up.
yeah, but unfortunately, there were like also suits, civil suits he had to face with Russia with wrongful deaths of inmates in his custody and such. They
Yeah,
also
because
shut
he was
down
like,
the
fuck
prison
you.
tent, the tent camp.
Yeah, yeah, because he was like, fuck these people. You know what I'm saying? Like you're destroying my cities. And keep in mind, this was before we had watchdog groups and cameras everywhere and the internet and all of this other stuff. So what happened? You know, what's the old saying your parents used to tell you? What happened in this house, stay in this house. You ever heard that?
Well, what's going on? What was going on in the state should stay in the state. And these guys, and I mean, just like law enforcement has internal affairs, shouldn't there be some oversight?
They're
don't
all
go too
working
far?
together. They're all working together. When you find heads cut off and bodies buried out in the desert, you've got terrorist warfare going on in your streets, shootouts and everything, all type drugs flowing through your country. Tucson. Yeah, grapes, murders, all of this stuff. You don't have time for all of that. Them people will turn the blind eye and say, do what you got to do. It was literally the wild, wild west out there. And we were just too stupid to see it because we're not out there. There was no access to information like there is today. We just thought that the man was racist. The dude was doing whatever he could to try to save his community. We feel so stupid now as we look back on it, do we not?
My question is,
go ahead.
My question is, like he just said, when you battling monsters, you have to make sure you don't turn into a monster and such. My question
well, yeah.
You gotta also have, you don't want to go too far where you end up getting corrupted and becoming the very thing you hate.
Well,
because
you better
there is
send
such a
some
thing
help.
as excessive.
That's why you send help. You send help. You want to keep put it to you. What's the Green Goblin said? Like, eventually they'll turn on you, and the hero will become the villain. Because you're doing so much. You're doing, look, eventually they'll turn on you and they will see you. The hero will soon become the villain. And if you're doing it by yourself for too much, eventually you'll fall. You'll die trying. You understand? Because it's just you. It's just you. Why do you think they write so many stories about Superman turning evil? Suddenly he becomes a dictator. Because heavy is the head that wears the crown. You even saw that in Invincible. In a different timeline.
I played the video game Injustice.
What's that?
I played the video games Injustice.
Now because I walked away from the other thing.
Oh, we were talking about what was going on in Arizona in lieu of all of the stuff that's going on right now.
Let me put it to you this way, right? Everybody wants these illegals here. They think they got rights. Why the fuck are you protesting when you don't have a right to do so? You're lucky you're not in fucking prison. You're really lucky. And here's the crazy part. Most of the motherfuckers, do you think a country's going to let the best and brightest go? Or are they going to send their riffraff or their ne'er-do-wells?
That's exactly what happened with South America. For some reason, they were saying, who's the guy? Was it Maduro? Maduro. He said that Trump, the Venezuelan president, he said that the Trump administration, I'm sorry, not the Trump, the Biden administration asked him for his criminals. You had several countries that emptied their prisons, okay? El Salvador being one of them, used government American taxpayer funds as stipends to each criminal to help facilitate their way to the border.
So this was all one big psyop?
Yes, to
Well.
destroy the country. If things went tits up, they were going, the whole plan is to destroy America from the inside. That's the only way you're going to do it. You're not going to win an air war with the United States. You're not going to be able to cross our borders if we see you coming. But if we open up the borders and just let you pour in by the millions, sneaking in terror cells along with them, I mean, come on. Why the hell are American border guards finding groups of Chinese men huddled together in just their underwear along the U.S.-Mexican border, as if they were stripped of everything that they had and left for dead? Now, who would do something like that?
Coyotes.
Why do you, as a Chinese person, need to sneak across the American border through Mexico?
Because you're a goddamn spy.
Exactly. You're a terrorist cell. And there's no telling what came over in those cargo ships. There's no telling. Remember, they kept talking about all these military-aged males from South America and whatnot and other countries that were coming in through the southern border. This is what I'm telling you. The Democrats are planning on us to have a second civil war. I would not be the least bit surprised if the shit was scheduled to jump off tomorrow.
And this is the reason why. You know why? Because once shit breaks down, here comes the savior. Not one time did Jasmine Crockett ever say, we need to get rid of the illegals. Because you Negroes need to realize the Democratic Party turned their back on you because they were betting on the Hispanics to fucking vote them in.
Yeah. The gays were not enough.
And
you were not enough. They already knew they had your black ass vote. I mean, look, 92 and 77%. You're already in, but you're not enough.
And then you got to realize, gay people are only what, 2 to 5% of the population.
Less than that.
Less than that. And you're telling me you're okay with gays putting sexually explicit shit. I can't walk around in an elementary school with my dick out, but I can talk about oral sex from a man to man. I mean,
and practice it in the bathroom and ain't nobody looking.
Not saying I want to actually do shit like that, because you know how people get.
Yeah.
So if you're telling me this shit, where do we draw the line for debauchery and degeneracy? Where do we draw the line? Because you're saying that if I could do that, I might as well do that. It's a debaucherous shit. And basically what you're telling me is that gone are the days of morality
or ethics.
And we're just going to hold up everybody to this fucking pedestal and say, well, there's nothing wrong with this. There is. There is. You got to realize something. What did John Hagee say? The LGBT community can affect who they want of any child they create. And if two men can't fucking produce, or two women can't produce a child, isn't that outside of the order of nature? Yeah, you got the right to love who you love. I've defended that right. But at the same time, making a sexually explicit... Hold on for a minute, folks.
$2.
I'm back. Making sexually explicit context or context or comments, right? That's an adult decision. Why are we not proud of a girl who's 14, 15 years old getting pregnant or having a baby? Why?
Wait, what race is she?
Any.
because it helps destroy the social order. They'll understand under the Democratic Party, the Democratic regime, they are very anti-male. Well, no, they're pro-male, they're anti-man.
No, they're anti-heterosexual male.
That too.
Because they love their gays. Why? Because they can bitch their gays. And this is the part where I'm talking about. They hate men so much, but they still rely on you to defend them. Get out of here.
That's why we don't.
And I'm like, this is the fucking reason why masculinity is going to go for an upswing. Oh, Trump's taking away all the women's jobs. Y'all weren't innovating shit. You weren't doing shit but throwing it in men's faces. And what did your jobs were? To sit in front of a computer when Chat GPT was cheaper?
They weren't even working. I mean, Jesus Christ. Elon was like, you guys got the weekend to just 5-point bulletin saying what you did this week. And you got idiots. You got people like Jasmine Crockett telling you don't do it as a form of protest. Bitch, I got rent to pay. I'm doing the 5-point bulletin. And the reason why Elon said that they wanted them to do that when they were cutting through Doge, like, we just want to prove that you actually are a real employee, or else we're going to fire you. Because clearly you're not working. Yeah. Then you had a lot of people that was using that, you know, the ones that were working from home. You know how they track to see if you're, you know, at your desk doing your job or whatever. And they were using that little mouse cursor mover app. You know what I'm talking about? There's an app that you can use where the mouse will be moving or whatnot, and it'll look like you're working. It'll be logged, like they'll log it in as you working. The NFL, you have the NFL do that where they can track your iPad or iPod or whatnot to see how many hours you were on it, to see if you were studying your playbook or not, just about how many hours you were logged into it, because the mouse will keep the screen active. They can't see what you're doing, but they can see how long your computer was open and active before it went into rest mode. Am I making sense? Do y'all understand what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, they were doing that. So it's like, well, tell me 5 things you did this week. Oh, you didn't respond to the email? Well, as far as we're concerned, you're a ghost employee. So therefore you're out of here, because the Democrats were stealing so much money that they were hiring people that didn't even exist. Didn't even exist, but you're on some government payroll. How? They caught a black chick in the fast food restaurant doing that. She had a ghost employee. She was cashing the checks of a ghost employee. So much stuff came out. Why do you think if you can't win it, tear it down? With Trump now having access, because remember they were talking about the Social Security numbers, and they wanted, as far as with the Social Security service, Social Security Administration, they only wanted Doge when Elon was there to have read-only access, which means you could see it, but you couldn't see beyond it. This is why, remember they were saying he was saying that you had people that were like millions of people over the age of 120 years old that were collecting Social Security checks. Millions of people over the age of 120 years old. And you wondering why the system was getting drained and was slated to go bankrupt? You had one person was 312 years old, collecting the Social Security check. So they cut all of those numbers. But when it came down, once Elon left, it was like maybe a day or two after he left, before he had his crash out, the Supreme Court gave Doge access to the Social Security Administration beyond read-only access. And as Elon was saying, he said, what we're trying to do, we're trying to get in there, and every Social Security number that has more than one birth date, we're going to cancel the newer birth dates. Okay, because that's somebody committing identity theft, identity fraud. Those were the illegals. Remember when those illegals came here, they were given Social Security numbers. They arrested a guy in the Social Security department. He had sold over 400,000 Social Security numbers. But who did he sell them to? They did not say. Which has got to be to the cartel. They arrested that guy. He's going to federal prison probably for life. Now they can kill those Social Security numbers. You can't buy penny candy in America without a Social Security number. You know what I'm saying? So now the jig is up. All of this stuff, all of this protest that's going on, the Democrats wanted more seats in Congress because of districting. If it's, let's say you have a district that has 150,000 people, that represents one seat in Congress. You get 300,000 people, you now get 2 seats in Congress. The Democrats only needed 3 seats. Jasmine Crockett was saying this. We only need 3 seats. And she was the 3 seats that she felt that they could take. It was 2 in Florida and I believe 1 in Texas. But they're cleaning those people out in Florida and they're cleaning them out in Texas. So they're about to lose those seats. She should be losing her seat to Sheldon Daniels come the primaries. This is why the primaries are so important. They've got to start. They have to get these illegals out of here before the primaries. Now that they have more than read access in the Social Security system, they can kill all of those people's Social Security numbers. This is why they did the self-deporting app last month, because they already knew that they were going to get more than read-only access. And as if you watched my show yesterday, Trump said, hey, look, we're going to give special provisions to illegals who are working in agriculture, that including farming, and in the service industry, like that being hotels and everything. We're going to give those people special provisions. So in other words, their bosses need to tell them, oh, wait, don't go nowhere. Don't go nowhere, because understand, ICE is not going after those people. They're going after the criminals. I know they raided that whole that warehouse. Okay, but that's because that guy didn't have not one American person working in that place. All his employees were illegals. Remember, they found the guy hiding in the freezer, huh?
And they all work for cheap. Let's not forget how many people are dependent on illegal migrants for cheap labor.
Right.
Because they don't want to pay anybody.
Exactly. That's what the girl was saying on the Scott Phillips show. I mean, the Scott Jennings show. I know it's Abby Phillips, but she's a doofus. So it's the Scott Jennings and the retards. The chick was saying, the one girl, it was 2 white women arguing, and the one white girl who's pro illegals, she was saying, well, they're working the jobs that Americans don't want to work. And the other girl said, for the pay that they're paying them. Like, they don't want to work those jobs at that pay rate.
White people don't want to work. They don't want to pay. They don't want to work for jobs at that pay rate. They want, full benefits, whatnot. And, because, labor laws being what they are, whatnot. But if you hire illegals, they can't say shit.
Yeah.
Who are they going to report to you to? Who are they going to report you to without exposing
You gonna call ICE? You gonna call ICE and say, Senor, they no pay me right money. You gonna call the Better Business Bureau?
Dude, do you remember the Boondocks when Granddad and Ed Wensler Sr. opened a soul food joint?
Oh, the itis, the one that gave people the itis.
The itis, yeah. The itis is real, by the way, folks. I've experienced it more than enough in my later years. Ooh. But he talked about how, like, you know, Ed Winsler said, you know, I'm gonna cut down. He said, like, to Robert. He said, Robert, we gotta cut costs, everything. So we're just gonna get rid of everyone here except for the Mexicans. And then one woman who worked at the caterer, she said, well, I'm 1/4 Mexican. I'm talking about the illegals, is what he responded.
Cheap labor.
Cheap, fucking cheap, motherfucking dirt cheap labor. We understand this. This is why people love illegal migrants, because they provide you with the work and they're willing to work. But you know, some people's like, well, and by the way, sending criminals and whatnot, what is it, Scarface? I mean,
but it's
bad enough that you know, if you're, I know it's bad enough if it's bad enough if you're a legal resident or a U.S. national and you got to deal with this shit because you are brown, or at least Latino, because again, Latino is not a race, that's an ethnicity. You got some Latinos who are white as hell, just like you got some who are black. So Rehama was good. So you understand, like, you know, if you are, Aaron McGruder was ahead of his time. No news. You're right about that. Aaron McGruder was his own man. He thought like a man. He thought his own thoughts. He had his own views. He wasn't like following the bandwagon. He wasn't, you know, towing the line. None of that. That's why he had that episode about Obama and whatnot. It mocked the whole. What was I going to say? Oh yeah, you got not just that. You have also people who are from other nationalities who could be mistaken for Latinos, and a lot of them just get caught up in that. You gotta protect themselves, no matter what. And understand that they're going after Latinos and Asians. I get to hear about them going after thousands of Europeans who are living in this country illegally. Am I wrong to inquire into that?
You can inquire about it. Inquire about
I can
anything.
inquire about it. Yeah, but you know, we know there are white people living in this country illegally from other countries. Nobody says shit.
Oh, they getting the hell up. They've been getting kicked the hell up out of here too.
It's more discreet, but it's more discreet.
No, it's just that the media is not covering that. They're only covering the people that they want here. You understand? The white people that are here, that are part of terrorist cells, I mean, they've been getting the hell up out of here. The Middle Easterners, they kicked them the hell up out of here. Matter of fact, they still got those ICE agents overseas, got them in harm's way because a federal judge blocked them being deported, I think, to Syria or something like that.
We can't deport them back to Syria right now.
Well, they're already over there. It's just that they're not allowed to dump them off. So I would move them to another country. Or better yet, I just put them in parachutes and push them out over Jordan.
They're gonna tell Jordan. I know, but Jordan's gonna be like, "Get the fuck out of here. We ain't letting you. We got no Syrians up in here as it is."
That's fine. But you said I can't deport them here. So here, I'll deport them over there. Either way, they're out of here. But you gotta love the trick bag that they did with Abrego Garcia. They brought him back just so they could prosecute his ass. That's a beautiful thing. They sat up there, they said, "Oh, so you want us to facilitate his return? Okay, so then they went ahead, the DOJ went ahead and built their case, gathered all their evidence against him, and then brought him back. Now he's facing criminal charges for trafficking, trafficking, human trafficking, human smuggling, drug trafficking. What else? What else? Something else that they charged him with. I think gun running, all types, because he's an MS-13 gang member. He was doing it all. He was doing it all. And now he's going to wind up in the federal penitentiary because of it. And then they're going to I'll say delete. Then they're going to deport him when his time is up. So all that.
And if he were to turn state's evidence,
he wouldn't make it out of a holding cell if he did that. But yeah, all that grandstanding that the Democrats did for him because he's an MS, not because he's a Maryland man, but because he's an MS-13 gang member. They showed their true loyalties. They know that guy's an MS-13 gang member. They did all of that. I guess he must be high ranking for them to do something like that. It ain't like he's just, some foot soldier, just a Joe Schmo. He has to have some sort of high ranking membership for them to be doing all of that, to be having all those congressmen and senators going down there to call themselves what? Grandstanding? Well, he's back now. Y'all did him no favors. You did him no favors.
was there an investigation on him prior to all this?
Yes. Federal charges. He's going to do Fed time. That's 85% before they even start looking at you talking about some parole. 85%.
I didn't say parole. I said, what if you would have cooperated with us?
No, I'm just saying. They're charging him he's getting federal time, which means you got to do 85% before they even start looking at you about talking about some parole. You don't understand what I'm saying? You're going to do your time. You're going to do a bulk of your time.
Pelican Day. 23-hour lockdown. You're going to be playing basketball. Pelican Day. King Kong ain't got shit on me.
Yeah, they did him no favors. Oh, well, maybe his wife can go see him and put money on his books. If anything, they did her a disservice. Because when he was down in El Salvador, there's no money on I think you can put money on their books and bring them food, but he was overseas. Well, he was in a whole different country. She didn't have to worry about it. But now that he's back in America and he's going to be in the American federal penitentiary system, then now he's going to be calling her, asking her for money, favors, all of this stuff. He's going to try to keep his criminal operation running as best as he can with her help and his buddies on the outside because he's here in America. All he needs is access to a phone or a buddy that's got contacts to the outside.
You don't think they're going to be following him the whole time? They're going to monitor him the whole time he's in there?
Who knows? Who knows?
Anytime you call collect from inside, those phone calls are monitored. But then again, depending on he may get his phone privileges revoked. If they decide to have him put it back. Where is he going to be? Depending on where he's going to be serving.
All I can say is that tomorrow is going to be a very critical day. It's going to be a very critical day. It all depends on how It all depends on how the cartel wants to play it. Simply because of the whole Social Security situation. You understand? That Social Security situation is a major blow to them. And a lot of those people that are carteled up, that are afraid of the cartel or work with the cartel or whatnot, they're going to do what they're told. They're going to get their marching orders. And these Democratic leaders are pretty much their figureheads. That's who they kind of sort of get their marching orders backed by. They're supposed to be their protection arm. So we'll see how all of this plays out tomorrow. But you know, if it goes left, you know what? All I can say is stay home tomorrow. If you're a bitch, stay home tomorrow. Save yourself. If you live in one of these areas that's vulnerable, stay home tomorrow.
Even if you're not a bitch, stay home tomorrow. Even if you're not a bitch, stay home tomorrow. Like, I ain't got time.
Well, you know, people got stuff to do. But if you ain't got nothing to do, and you're in one of these Democratic cities that's looking at having one of these protests or whatnot,
you got protests.
Hopefully it'll just be nothing but a day of stupid protests where a couple of people get popped with some rubber bullets. You know, maybe a couple of people get their face bloodied or whatnot. You know, nothing too serious. Hopefully. But you never know.
Well, on one side, people might be protesting civilly, but it might be violent. But on the flip side, with it, you get heavy law enforcement gets so heavy in. There's two sides of it.
This whole war situation between Iran and Israel, you know what I say? I say let them fight. I say stay out of it because Iran did hit Israel back today. They struck back at them today, but I say let them fight. Stay out. The United States and Russia needs to stay out of it. Go ahead and let them destroy each other. Let them tear all of their stuff up. And then when they ready to sit down and talk, then you sit down and talk. But with Israel killing those three generals or whatever that Trump was talking to, trying to get them to de-arm their nuclear programs and everything, Netanyahu jumped the gun. He bombed their facilities, he killed those generals, and now Iran is out for blood. That was not smart.
Don't forget.
That was not smart.
Did green light. Don't forget, in the last time Trump was president, his previous administration, remember Soleimani?
I don't think he greenlit this. Yeah, but I don't think he greenlit this. I think this caught him totally off guard. Because why would you approve why would you approve this attack? Especially when you were talking to these guys and
were they talking?
You were making progress
at that time. Were they?
Huh?
At that time, I said during his previous administration.
I'm talking about right. But I'm talking about right now. You were making progress. You were making headway. And then you had Netanyahu go ahead and do this, which destroyed any type of goodwill or building up that you were having. Just like Zelensky, when he tried to kill Putin with the drones, and then they bombed his B-52 bomber air base.
Multiple air base.
Right. Like what? Yeah, what the hell are you doing? Like, we were making headway. What are you doing? Like, you know what? You know what? Call me when you guys are done. But we need you to help fight our battle. No. You want weapons? Buy them. You want weapons from us? Buy them. Buy them from us. I'm not giving you shit. Pay for them. You got the money. You ain't got the money. Then why the fuck is you throwing rocks and sticks and shit? Oh, you thought that I was going to turn around and fight this battle for you. Charles was saying big brother, little brother syndrome. Eventually, little bro, you got to get your nose bloody. You got to get your knuckles swole. You got to get that eye black and that lip busted.
I mean, I'm gonna say something real quick because I was on the phone with one of my best friends, and he tried to say, I know.
Yeah,
and he was like,
I'm gonna catch y'all later. BJ just started.
Yeah, I'm gonna say this real quick. Why don't people like guys wear condoms and getting a girl pregnant? I said because he was allowed to.
Yeah,
that's the simple thing. If we force a chick to have sex, that's rape. Is it not in this world? So at the same time, she can refuse. But here's the difference with a lot of people, right? And I've said this before. If a woman picks a bad father for her children, that's on her. But if a man picks a bad wife, that's on who?
That's on him.
So when you got 33 different ways to prevent pregnancy, and you find out statistically black men use more condoms than anybody else, are condoms foolproof? No. But at the same time, I always ask women, why didn't you get pregnant by the nigga who got multiple kids, but y'all never find the nigga who don't have kids to start with him? You ever found that funny? Well, you never said why he got to use a condom. Because he was allowed to. That's the best answer I can give you. He was allowed to. If she didn't want to worry about getting pregnant, she would have been on the pill, and he would have had a condom. She should have made sure of that. So what would happen if the condom? What would happen if the condom bursts? What's your follow up after that?
There is no he got me pregnant. You are the first, middle, and last defense of protecting your womb as a female. There is no he got me pregnant. Like, no, you let him
impregnate you.
Yes, you let him impregnate you because you wanted him to have your baby. Everybody in even teenagers know that raw sex without protection can lead to an unwanted pregnancy. Not everybody is stupid like that.
And when I was telling my friend, I said, look, yo, he could wear the condom. Condom bursts. What then? Is she going to automatically get pregnant?
No.
Then why him?
You know, it's not even an argument. It's not even an argument. If you look, you wanted the baby. You wanted the baby. You played Russian roulette with your ovaries, and you know you won. Yeah. You won. You won. You didn't lose. You won. You got pregnant.
Be happy. Be rejoiced.
Isn't that what you were going for?
But don't
with unprotected sex?
Being a bad father. Don't ever do that. Don't ever complain about the dude being a bad father, because how many chicks will? This is how the black community works. I'm gonna have babies by who I'm physically attracted to, and get some out of shape, ugly, unattractive simp. Their words, not mine. To take care of those babies. Oh, you notice when a chick wants to it's funny. Like I said, I should have unfriended this chick. And I was trying to talk to her, but then she's looking for somebody to pay her bills. Like, bitch, you better get out here and work. You don't see this economy?
She got kids?
Yeah, two different men.
Oh, okay. I thought you was about to say that.
That's the one when
Poor
that's the
kids.
one. That's the one when she told me she wants to rest in her femininity. She didn't know who the first father was till 2 years later when they took a test, because she went from one guy and hopped on another. And then she got married to the second guy. And she said, I'll tell you the truth, I only got married for good dick. And I was like, my dick got so soft it became a second navel.
You turned trans.
I turned trans, man. It just was like, oh, yo, what the fuck's wrong with you? And it's like, how can I respect you after that? And it's crazy because, one, you're looking at this chick and she wants somebody to take a job so she can rest in her fem. Get the entire DC and Marvel comic line of fucking heroes and villains the fuck out of here.
You mean she just wanted to be a lazy bum that lounged around the house all day?
Yeah.
Half-ass cooking, half-ass cleaning.
And the dude she get is this overweight dude who's willing to do anything simp for.
Of course.
Because he thinks that's the best thing he'll ever get. This is the reason why I tell you.
More than likely.
Shout out to Ron Wills, Body Game. Because if you're in shape, I'm going to say this, and tell me if you disagree.
I disagree.
Thank you.
Go ahead, say it.
But the better shape you are as a man, the better options you have.
Yes.
Especially later in life when you're in your late 30s, early 40s to 50s and 60s.
Look, all women love that salt and pepper look. That especially if you keep it neat and trim and everything, they love that salt and pepper, distinguished older man, still in good shape type of look, especially if you are a sharp dresser.
Mm-hmm.
They love that shit. They love that shit. Why do you think so many of these girls got sugar daddies?
Yeah, and I'm like, when you're in good shape in your 40s, the less you got to go into your pocket.
Remember Sexy Grandpa?
Oh yeah,
he turned out to be have his pinky out.
Yeah, Mr. Steal Your Grandma.
Yeah, steal your grandpa more than likely.
Yeah, and you're telling me that when I talk to these chicks and I'm like, yo, you got to realize, I remember my one of my best friend's ex-girlfriend asked me on Facebook, well, you don't look the same as you did in your 20s. I don't have to. I just got to keep it in shape. I can shave my head. Tell me one bald-headed nigga that don't get pussy.
Nobody.
Tell me I got good arms, good muscle tone. Tell me who don't get that. I said, but tell me one chick with 3 kids by 3 different men is ever going to be taken seriously.
Maybe by a fat bald dude.
Y'all don't hang out with your women either, huh? They ridiculous. They don't even like football and beer. I don't even know why they exist. Who the hell are you, Adam? Now,
you know what? What's the name said? What did dude say? What did he say? What did he say? No, not him. Let's see. Oh, no news. He says there are white supremacist compounds here in the States. You know what? Last year I was wondering where they were. I was wondering, where are the white supremacists in all of this? I was very surprised that they didn't pop their heads up out of the the gopher hole. And here we are with this situation with what's going on in California, and they have strong factions out there in California, and they still haven't popped their heads up out of the gopher holes. So it makes me wonder, where are they, or have they finally smartened up and decided, you know what, we just gonna, because a lot of those people are former military and former police officers. And of course, militia. These guys are militias. They're in militias and everything. They have coalitions. And it may, John Birch Society, all of this stuff, they have been painfully quiet. It's not like they disappeared or don't exist, but they've been painfully quiet. I wonder if they're waiting for what those of us that know what time it is, I wonder if they're waiting for what we're waiting for, which is the fall.
Those who know, know.
I think they're waiting for the fall. I think they're sitting back. I think they're sitting back and they're just watching and waiting. It's almost like war. No, let's say like the original Civil War. Don't shoot until you see the whites of their eyes.
Pretty much.
Yeah, like hold, but we're getting wiped out. I know, but hold.
Now.
I think that's what they're doing.
Because right now, you're validating everything that this administration wants to do. You fucking idiots. We want to stay in your country and rob you from all your resources. You're not putting back into the system.
They send that money back. First, they have to pay off the cartel that smuggled them here, because they always come with extra fees.
Mm-hmm.
You have to pay them off for getting you here, pay off the extra fees for getting you here, and then you have to take care of your family back home. We had I worked with plenty of illegals. I worked in the hotel industry for 20-something years. But we had one guy, he worked at the job. He was there for 25 years, and he finally retired. But before he retired, he was showing us like pictures of his house that he had built down in Mexico. This dude had like a manor, almost like a mansion. Gated wall and everything. His place was beautiful because he was sending his money back home. $59 to $1 US. The peso, $59 to $1 US. So if you're making, let's say you're coming out of there every 2 weeks with 20, let's say about your check, and this is before 2019. All right, when your dollar really stretched, back when rent was like you could get a 2-bedroom garden apartment for less than $500 a month.
Yeah.
And you're making like let's say you're making $5,500 after taxes. That's your take home, $5,500. But you're paying about maybe $450 to $500 a month in rent. All right. And maybe you have a couple of roommates or whatever, because this is what you do. You come here, you huddle up, you save money, you send money back home, for as long as you possibly can, and then you leave, because that's your purpose. Your purpose here isn't to necessarily retire here in America, the quote unquote American dream. Your purpose here is for the economic opportunity, because America is a very expensive country. There are more expensive countries to live in, but America is a very expensive country. You get taxed for everything. We make you buy water. The water is not even free. The shit that come out of your faucet that you take a shower with and piss in. And
in certain cities like Baltimore, you get taxed for the rain.
Yeah, you get a water bill every month. You get taxed. But you say y'all get taxed for the rain?
But they got a rain tax.
God damn.
Like, I'm surprised you don't have a fucking mutiny.
You get taxed for everything. So what did Putin say about the African? Because you know they don't have a Hispanic problem, but he was talking about the African, how Africa is a cemetery for Africans because you get out, you go to these foreign countries, most particularly either America or Europe. You know, you make your money, you get rich, and then you know you build your little house or whatever here, your little compound, and then when you get old, you move into your home that you had built, and then you die.
Yeah,
it's a cemetery for Africans. Yeah,
that's what it is, and people get offended by it. Like, tell me what innovations are you making? And then the mentality of Africans is what? If you got it, I need a student.
You know what I mean? Stories. Remember we were doing the whole, when being a passport bro was all the rage. And I was looking at these stories of, you had women who were going to Africa. They were getting murked because over there is no sole ownership. There's no country, there's no country outside the United States. Let me recount. There are very few countries outside the United States where you as a foreigner can come and buy land or own a business or any type of real estate without having a native of that country have owned at least 50% of it. At the very least 50% of it. So you had these women that were going, I think they went to Gambia or something like that. These are black women in their 40s. It was like 3 Americans and 2 English black women in their 40s, like over 40. They were getting up with these young dudes in their early 20s. They were building their houses, getting their businesses together. And once everything was completed, they kicked the dudes to the curb. You know what those dudes did?
Came back and murked them.
Yep. Murked them. Murked them.
And see, it's one thing if you would have, and see, they try to use the old fashioned, I'm going to use you to get what I want.
That doesn't work in a third world country. The Africans, they run so many scams, especially on Americans who think that they're African, because the Africans do not see your black ass as African. You are a Kafir. What's the other name they call us?
What's that?
They call us these names, and they mean that shit. They're more racist than the average white person that you claim you can't stand. They're more racist than them towards you. There are people that call themselves, they got married to an African, especially in what is it? Not Nambia, Ghana. Calling themselves getting married to somebody in Ghana, whatnot, because they fell in love with the country, even though it's one of the dirtiest countries in the fucking anyway. So they're sending money back home thinking that they're getting a house built, and this also happens in the Philippines too. And like the person that they're supposedly with, they're showing them pictures, sending them pictures back of these housing constructions, and then suddenly the pictures stop, or the house doesn't look like it's being built the way that you wanted it built. Okay, so then
money.
Right, you catch a flight over there and you wind up finding yourself going to an empty lot. Come to find out the pictures that they were sending you was somebody else's home build.
And why would you trust a motherfucker? You won't trust an American black, but you trust a fucking slick ass, desperate ass African.
Well, because they smiled at you.
Hello, hi.
Corey Holcomb said something way back in 2017. He said the human animal is the only one that smiles at its prey.
Yep. Yep. We get mad about it.
What's going on, Charles?
What's up, man?
Oh, hey, I thought you were in the middle of doing the podcast.
No, but I will do one before Art comes on. I'm going to roast FD.
Yeah, I got the email, but we was already up in here.
Yeah, I think he just uploaded like 20 minutes ago or something. So, you know, what are your
Where do
thoughts?
you live? What city are you in?
Indianapolis.
What does the protest situation look like out there?
I have no idea.
That's good. Stay home tomorrow. Stay out of it.
Oh, you're talking about the King protest or something?
Stay out of it.
I know
Stay
to get
home.
into it.
That's good.
I did see something Trump pointed out because somebody asked about this King protest that they want to do tomorrow because it's his birthday and all. He's like I ain't got no power over King. I still have to go ask Congress and the Senate to get shit done.
Oh yeah, he made a joke about how he's like I'm no king. If I was a king, I wouldn't have all these problems and trying to get bills passed and shit.
Exactly.
Because he made that joke talking about some long live the king, and these motherfuckers, they just ran with that shit. They it's like the left cannot deal with hyperbole. I mean, like, it took me about a week to figure out what the fuck they kept calling him Taco.
Oh, you mentioned what I'm going to be doing. I'm glad you said that. Give me 1 second. Got something to share here. Let's see my profile.
What is it, Taco? Trump always caves off or some shit because they were talking about the tariffs. And I'm like, good Lord, like, you can tell you motherfuckers have never owned a business in y'all lives. Y'all are career politicians. You've never owned a business. You hit them people with the tariffs, and then you pulled the tariffs off to negotiate.
Ray, stop talking about Desmond Crockett like that.
Shit, I'm talking about all of them.
Yep.
They're very stupid people. They're very stupid people. Very stupid people.
Hey, Charles, I got something to share. This is my thoughts on people protesting tomorrow in a nutshell. Yes, that is me. Oh, wait a minute.
I thought that was Denzel Chestnut.
No, that's me.
Going to march in the United States on April 5th. 1 million people.
Sit your black ass down.
Oh, and if that wasn't clear, let me double down.
Aquarius.
1 million people are going to march in the United States on April 5th. 1 million people.
Sit your black ass down.
How are you working out with okay, I see you starting to do the hashtags. That's good.
Mm-hmm.
I see you doing the hashtags. Is that working for you?
Depends on
getting
the
the
day.
hang of them.
Yeah, depends on the day.
Yeah.
And when I upload them.
Yeah, I that basic hashtag, I stick with them. Like, I opened up a new channel, and it's starting to get traction. I uploaded about 12 videos today, 12 short videos today, and it's getting traction. They community struck me with one of them. I don't even know what the hell I said, but clearly I said
it's easy to get struck over there.
Like him. Oh, and TikTok.
Yeah, it's easy to get struck over there because them butthurt liberals are sensitive.
You know what? Matter of fact, the video I did yesterday, I had like more people than usual that were watching me right off rip.
Mm-hmm.
Normally the crowd comes in late, but right off rip, I had a big crowd. And matter of fact, I got over 1,000 views on that damn video last night. as well as like a couple of other videos I've done where I've got like over 1,000 views, especially with my shorts and on my TikTok. And I was getting a lot of comments, and then I realized, because I had one of my mods take a look at these people's profiles, because they were saying stuff, and then I would address it. They wouldn't say nothing back. So come to find out, they're bots. So what I'm thinking is that the Democrats are making another bot round, because they did that. You remember they did that during on TikTok up until November 6th, November 5th, all the way up to November 5th. You were getting all this pushback from liberals, or supposed liberals, but come to find out they were bots, because after November 6th, like everybody's views just dropped. You even had left leaning commentators saying how like they lost like over 200,000 subscribers and all of this stuff. Like this was like the very next day. You had a lot of them bitching about how their members and memberships and views were like going down by the hundreds of thousands, because the Democratic Party was paying for bots. And these bots are very sophisticated. It's almost like talking to an AI. You see how you talk to AI like Gemini or Chat GPT or something like that, and it seems like you can have a conversation with them.
Yeah.
They're back now to using these bots again, because I had to cut my DMs off on TikTok because I was getting flooded with a bunch of hateful messages. Same thing now, that's all of a sudden it picked up on Instagram, and now it's on now it's picked up on YouTube. Because last night I was saying, which one of y'all, I was asking, I saw the numbers, I saw there had some people commenting, and I asked, I said, so where did y'all come from? How did y'all find my page? And one guy was saying the algorithm, and I'm like, no, that don't make no fucking sense. You know what I'm saying? Suddenly now the algorithm is in my favor. This doesn't make any sense. And nobody else was really commenting. And I'm thinking, well, what person on YouTube is possibly dropped my, every time I go live, they're dropping my channel somewhere, maybe the Shade Room or something like that. Because, ignorance knows no bounds with those people. But but after I slept on it and I thought about it this morning, I looked at the pattern. I went back and looked at my analytics, and I realized the fucking Democrat bots. So when you go live, because we pretty much, me, you, Charles, Lewis, whatnot, we all pretty much talk about the same thing, just from our different perspective. If you all of a sudden start seeing a lot of hateful comments, a lot of hater comments or whatnot, your numbers all of a sudden have increased or whatnot, and people seem like they're trying to antagonize you, those are bots. Especially on TikTok. Those are bots.
Damn.
What?
Listen to BGS?
They being bots again?
Yeah, they brought the bots back. Just like that whole thing with that senator yesterday or whatever that got pushed out of the room. They tried to storm the podium with Kristi Noem. That was a setup. That motherfucker knows not to walk around that government building without his Senate pin on, so that way he can be recognized by security. He took his Senate pin off and tried to storm the podium while this woman was talking. And all of a sudden, no sooner than within the hour, all of these Democrats had this, seemed like they all had the same type of speech. If he'll do it to us, imagine what he'll do to a regular citizen. Motherfucker, they do that to regular people. Hello? What the fuck do you think BLM was all about? You got the soft end of the stick because they didn't even use it. You didn't get abused. You just got shoved out of the room and handcuffed.
Yep. I'll
Shit.
catch y'all later. I gotta step down.
All right. That dude lucky he didn't get shot for doing what he did.
Pretty much.
Right.
I'm about to step out for a minute. Any last words, Bay?
No, I'm good. Let's get out of here. I gotta go to the store.
Thank you once again for the support. Thank you for contributing to the show. Hopefully, it's been informational what I gave people today about this damn thing.
Yeah.
I said, y'all better. How many more years do we have to warn them?
You know what? We say it, but I think they listen for they see it as entertainment.
Pretty much.
It's entertainment.
Till then,
But
let's get
peace.
Peace. Let's get the hell out of here.